What had happened was I was commissioned by tax attorney Aisley Smith to create a mural in East Atlanta. It was called Love All Serve All. As I was working on the mural, I noticed two doors beside the piece that was an entrance to a theater that had been closed down years ago. I thought, what a great place to put a mural with James Baldwin. See, I had just seen the documentary I Am Not Your Negro, which examined America's need for a class system that placed people of African descent at the bottom. It was especially relevant because the Trump administration was in full effect locking up immigrant families and separating children from their parents to discourage immigration into the country that was built off immigrants. In my mind, I saw James Baldwin casually smoking a cigarette and telling it like it is. I don't know if you've been around an older black person who was giving the cold hard facts, but this was the energy I was projecting in the piece. I had been in the path of this type of truth, and it is unsettling and needed. The way Trump was pushing this narrative of make America great again and being black and knowing the true history with slavery, cannibalism, yes, cannibalism. Well, look at what happened to Nat Turner. White folks skinned him, ate him, and made souvenirs out of his body. The Trail of Tears, Japanese internment camps, redlining, I could go on and on. The question I ask is, when was America great? What does great mean to the African American, Native American, Asian American, Muslim American, and the other, etc.? A line at the end of the documentary stood out.
What white people have to do is try to find out in their own hearts why it was necessary to have a nigger in the first place. Because I'm not a nigger, I'm a man. But if you think I'm a nigger, you need it.
I substituted white for Americans, the N-word for illegals, also bad hombre because African Americans were being swapped for immigrants from the Central and South America. At the time, the city was bringing back an obscure law, the Public Arts Ordinance, that registered murals around the city and charged $1,500 fine if you didn't comply, which affected me and my colleagues as a lot of these murals were not sanctioned and touched taboo topics like civil rights and classism as this piece did. I suspected this was in preparation for the Super Bowl, which was coming in the next year in 2018. The New York Times took notice and I was interviewed by journalist Alan Blinder about my stance along with fellow artists Yo-Yo Farrow and Peter Ferrari with Sister Louise church bar owner Grant Henry, who formed a lawsuit in which we won, allowing artists to paint around the city as long as we had permission from the owner, as it is a First Amendment issue. But that's another story, and the rest is history.